Mure Zimbabwe, let me tell you something about power in Zimbabwe, right? Power in Zimbabwe is never taken loudly. There are no announcements. There are no press conferences. Nobody sends a WhatsApp in the group chat saying, guys, we are removing the president next Tuesday. Please come. No. In Zimbabwe, power moves quietly. Power moves at funerals and at church services and at small dinner tables in Borode where the curtains are closed and the phones are face down. Power in Zimbabwe moves exactly the way it moved in November 2017. Remember 2017? Remember how we all woke up one morning and suddenly there were tanks on the road and Robert Mugabe, the man who said only God could remove him, was sitting in his house in Blue Roof watching his own resignation speech on television. Nobody saw it coming, Mure Zimbabwe. Or rather, some people saw it coming. They had been planning for it for a long time, quietly, patiently, with smiles on their faces and handshakes at every public event. Right, I am telling you this because what I'm about to tell you right now has that same energy. Something is happening inside ZANU-PF right now. Something quiet, something patient, something that Emerson Mnangagwa should be very, very concerned about. Right, pano pamuzinda wevanhu. Zvaizvezvi ngaitipinde munyaya. Now, first, let me tell you how ZANU-PF actually works. Because if you think ZANU-PF is one united happy family that agrees on everything and sings together at the rallies, bro, you have been watching the wrong channel. ZANU-PF is not a party. ZANU-PF is a collection of factions. Factions that smile at each other in public and stab each other in private. Factions that toast each other in independence celebrations and then go home and plan each other's political funerals. Oh, this is how it has always been. Mugabe spent 37 years managing these factions, playing one against the other, rewarding loyalty today and destroying the same loyal person tomorrow just to send a message to everyone else. It was brutal, it was ruthless, but it worked. For 37 years, it worked. Mnangagwa came in promising something different, a new dispensation, open for business, engagement and re-engagement. The world is watching Zimbabwe. But here's what Mnangagwa perhaps underestimated. You cannot change the culture of ZANU-PF. You can only survive it. And right now, surviving it is becoming more difficult. Right. Inside ZANU-PF today, there are broadly three groups you need to understand. Group one is the Mnangagwa loyalists. These are the people whose careers exist because of ED. They rose with him. They benefit from him. If he falls, they fall. These people are genuinely loyal, not because of love, but because of survival. Their loyalty is real, but it is transactional. Group 2 is what I will call the old Lacoste faction, the original military and intelligence network that put Mnangagwa in power in 2017. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Not everyone in this group is still happy. Some of them feel they did not get what they were promised. Some of them feel that ED has become too comfortable, too independent, too much his own man. They are the ones who made him and they feel he has forgotten that. Group 3, Mure Zimbabwe, and this is the group you need to watch, is what sources are describing as the quiet reformers. Younger, more educated, more connected to international money and international relationships. They look at Zimbabwe's economy, they look at the ZIG struggling, they look at the 2028 elections coming, and they are asking a question that is dangerous to ask inside ZANU-PF. Is Mnangagwa the right person to take us there? That question, that quiet question being asked in closed doors, closed rooms, is where everything begins. Now, every faction that wants to remove a leader needs something very important. They need a face. They need someone to rally around. Someone who is credible enough to sell to the party. Someone who is ambitious enough to accept the risk. Someone who is smart enough to play the long game without showing their hand too early. And bro, there is a name circulating. I'm not going to say that name tonight, right now, but not because I don't know it, but because in Zimbabwe, naming someone in this context doesn't just end careers, it ends other things too. And pano, we are here for the long run. What I will tell you is the profile of this person. They are inside the system, not outside, not opposition, not diaspora activist. Inside ZANU-PF, senior enough to have real relationships, junior enough to represent something new. Murupabata. So the old Gadona Chichi Zimbabwe, right now to tell something else. They have been making very deliberate moves in the last 18 months. Quite visits to provincial structures, building relationships with war veterans, because in ZANU-PF, war veterans are still kingmakers, making themselves visible in areas where Mnangagwa's delivery has been weakest. And most importantly, they have international relationships, relationships with people who control money, because whoever replaces Mnangagwa will need to go to the international community and say, we are a new Zimbabwe, we are open, trust us. This person has been preparing that conversation already, quietly, patiently, with a smile at every public event and their phone face down at every private dinner. So, why 2028 in Zimbabwe is still a bill number 3 rakamira kadaiso? Why is that the deadline these factions are working towards? Simple. 2028 is the next election. And the internal ZANU-PF reading of the current situation is not confident. The economy is fragile. The ZIG is under pressure. Young Zimbabweans are living in numbers that should frighten any government. The informal economy is holding the country together with tape and prayer. If ZANU-PF goes into 2028 with Mnangagwa leading, with this economic record, the risk is real. Not that they will lose to Chamisa or whoever the opposition fields, but that the result will be so disputed, so messy, so internationally condemned that Zimbabwe ends up more isolated than ever. The faction that is moving doesn't necessarily hate Mnangagwa personally. They just believe he is now a liability. And in ZANU-PF, the moment you become a liability, the clock starts. Mnangagwa himself knows this, which is why he has been making moves of his own, reshuffling, repositioning, keeping people guessing about who is truly in his inner circle, making himself unpredictable, because an unpredictable leader is harder to plot against. But here is the thing about 2017 that everyone forgets. Mugabe was also making moves right until the end. Mugabe was also reshuffling. Mugabe was also keeping people guessing. And one morning, there were tanks on the road. Now, I am saying Mnangagwa is about to be removed. Am I saying that? No, I'm not saying that. I am saying there are people inside ZANU-PF who are actively positioning for a post-Mnangagwa Zimbabwe before 2028. Yes, that is exactly what I am saying. And the difference between those two statements is the difference between journalism and speculation. Pano pamuzinda wevanhu, we do journalism. What happens next depends on Mnangagwa's next moves. It depends on the economy. It depends on whether the faction that is moving gets impatient or stays disciplined. But make no mistake, the game is already being played, the board is already set, and most people watching don't even know the game has started. More Zimbabwe, this is why pano pamuzinda wevanhu, we are not here to entertain you, not just to get views, but because Zimbabweans, whether you are in Harare, in Johannesburg, in London, in Auckland, deserve to know what is actually happening in the country that belongs to all of us. The mainstream media won't tell you this. The government certainly won't tell you this. And the politicians involved are smiling at cameras and telling you everything is fine. Everything is not fine. But knowledge is power. And now you have more of it than you did 10 minutes ago. Zimbabwe, share this video with every Zimbabwean. Every Zimbabwean needs to see this before it gets buried. Pano pamuzinda wevanhu. We are watching everything. Thank you for watching. Peace.